Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a massive journey, literally and figuratively, to explore one of the most jaw-dropping wonders of the world, the Great Wall of China. This isn't just a wall, it's a sprawling testament to human grit, ingenuity, and a little bit of madness. I've dug deep into the archives, sifted through wild stories, and uncovered facts that'll make you rethink everything you thought you knew about this iconic structure. We're talking history that'll transport you back centuries, science that'll blow your mind, nature's sneaky role in the mix, tech that was ahead of its time, a dash of psychology to unpack why it even exists, and yes, even a cosmic twist. Buckle up, because this is going to be a wild ride, and I promise you'll be hooked from start to finish. Let's get started. First off, let's set the scene. Picture this, a colossal stone serpent winding across mountains, deserts, and plains, stretching over 13,000 miles. That's longer than the distance from New York to Sydney, twice. The Great Wall isn't just one continuous stretch. It's a patchwork of walls, trenches, and natural barriers built across centuries by different dynasties. Most of what we imagine today comes from the Ming Dynasty, starting in the 14th century, but its origins go way back, over 2,000 years ago. So what's the first mind-blowing fact? It's not even one wall. Historians estimate that if you tally up every section ever built across all dynasties, it's closer to 21,000 miles of fortifications. That's enough to wrap around the Earth's equator and still have some left over. Imagine the sheer manpower it took to pull that off. No cranes, no trucks, just human hands and stubborn determination. Now, let's dive into the history, because this is where things get juicy. The wall's story kicks off around 221 years before the Common Era, under China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. He's the guy who unified the country and decided, hey, let's build a giant barrier to keep out the nomadic tribes from the north, like the Xiongnu, who were basically the ancient version of a biker gang on horseback. But here's the kicker. Qin didn't start from scratch. He stitched together older walls built by warring states, turning a chaotic mess into a unified defense line. Over the centuries, dynasties kept adding to it, tweaking it, rebuilding it. By the time the Ming Dynasty rolled in, around 600 years ago, they went all out, using bricks and stone instead of the earlier rammed earth. Why? Because those northern invaders, now the Mongols, were getting trickier and the old dirt walls weren't cutting it. But let's pause here for a crazy historical tidbit. The wall wasn't just about keeping people out, it was also about trapping people in. Emperors used it to control trade, tax goods, and stop their own people from fleeing to join those nomadic tribes. Think about that. A wall so massive, it doubled as a psychological cage. And speaking of psychology, here's a fascinating angle. The wall became a symbol of power so strong that it messed with invaders' heads before they even got close. Imagine riding up on horseback, seeing this endless fortress snaking over the horizon and thinking, yeah, maybe we should just turn back. It's like the ancient version of flexing. China saying, don't even try it. Now, let's shift gears to science, because the wall hides some serious engineering wizardry. How do you build something this huge without modern tech? The answer lies in the materials and the math. Take the Ming sections, they use sticky rice, yes, the stuff you eat with chopsticks, as a secret ingredient in their mortar. Mixed with slaked lime, it created a glue so tough that some parts still stand today, resisting earthquakes and erosion better than modern concrete. Scientists call it an organic-inorganic hybrid, and it's so durable that researchers are studying it to improve our buildings. Sticky rice. Who knew your takeout could hold up a wall? And the wall's design? Pure genius. It follows the natural contours of the land, hugging ridges, dipping into valleys, making it harder to attack. Builders calculated slopes and angles to exhaust invaders climbing up, while giving defenders the high ground. Some watchtowers are perched at such steep inclines that you'd need to be part mountain goat to reach them. Modern engineers have run simulations and found that these placements weren't random. They optimized sight lines and defense with precision that rivals today's military tech. No blueprints, no computers, just experience and a lot of trial and error. Let's talk nature now, because the wall and the wild have a love-hate relationship. Over the centuries, it's become a biodiversity hotspot. Picture wolves prowling the ruins, rare birds nesting in crumbled towers, and plants, like the Mongolian oak, reclaiming sections. In the Gobi Desert stretches, it's even a lifeline for animals, offering shade and shelter in a brutal landscape. But nature's also the wall's biggest enemy. Erosion, wind, and roots have torn down more of it than any invader ever did. In fact, about a third of the Mingira wall has vanished, swallowed by sand or overgrown by forests. There's this wild irony: a structure built to conquer nature is now being devoured by it. And here's a nature fact that'll make your jaw drop. The wall accidentally created microclimates. By blocking wind and trapping moisture, it altered rainfall patterns near its base, turning some arid zones into unexpected green patches. Scientists have found that in places like Inner Mongolia, vegetation thrives more near the wall than miles away. It's like this ancient megastructure hacked the ecosystem without even trying. Okay, let's zoom into technology, because the wall was high-tech for its day. Ever heard of smoke signals? The Chinese perfected them here. Watchtowers had signal systems using wolf dung, wolf poop, mixed with straw to create thick black smoke visible for miles. Different smoke patterns meant different messages. 1 puff for a small raid, 3 for an all-out attack. It was like Morse code, but with fire and a funky smell. And the spacing of those towers? Calculated so each could see the next, forming a communication network that stretched thousands of miles. Modern telecom engineers say it's one of the earliest relay systems. Basically the internet, medieval style. But the tech wasn't flawless. Building the wall was a logistical nightmare. Workers hauled stones up mountains using nothing but ramps, pulleys, and sheer muscle. In winter, they poured water on slopes to freeze it into icy slides, sledding massive blocks into place. Imagine the ingenuity, and the frostbite, and the bricks. Standardized sizes, mass-produced in kilns, centuries before the Industrial Revolution kicked off in Europe. China was churning out prefab parts while the rest of the world was still figuring out castles. Now, let's get into human psychology because the wall's story is dripping with it. Why build something this insane? Fear, pride, and a touch of obsession. Emperors poured millions of lives into it. Some estimate over 1 million workers died during construction. They were soldiers, peasants, even prisoners, worked to the bone and buried where they fell. That's where the myth comes from, that the wall's a giant graveyard. While archaeologists haven't found mass skeletons inside the structure, the death toll shaped its legend. It's a monument to human sacrifice as much as human triumph. And the workers' mindset? Fascinating. Many believe they were guarding the edge of civilization itself. Beyond the wall was chaos, monsters, the unknown. That fear fueled their labor, but it also bred superstition. Some sections have tiny carvings, prayers etched into stone left by builders hoping for protection. Psychologists say this blend of duty and dread kept them going, even as the wall grew into a seemingly endless task. Here's another psychological twist. The wall didn't always work. The Mongols breached it multiple times, not by smashing through, but by bribing guards or sneaking around gaps. Genghis Khan reportedly said the strength of a wall depends on the courage of those who defend it. He was right. All that stone couldn't stop human nature. Greed, betrayal, or just exhaustion. It's a lesson in how psychology trumps even the grandest plans. Okay, time for a cosmic curveball. Because why not? Did you know the Great Wall ties into space? There's this old tale that it's the only man-made structure visible from the moon. Spoiler, it's not. Astronauts have debunked that. It's too narrow and blends into the landscape from that distance. But here's the cool part. Satellites can spot it, and NASA's used it to test imaging tech. Plus, the walls inspired space-age thinking. Its scale got engineers dreaming about megastructures like space stations or lunar bases. So, in a way, it's a stepping stone to the stars. Let's wrap this up with a wildcard fact. The wall's still growing, not by design, but by accident. Farmers and villagers near unrestored sections sometimes add stones to mark fields or patch up old bits, keeping the tradition alive. It's like a living relic, evolving with every hand that touches it. So, there you have it. The Great Wall of China. Unpacked from every angle. A historical titan, a scientific marvel, a nature battleground, a tech pioneer, a psychological puzzle, and a cosmic muse. Which fact blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments. I'm dying to know. If you loved this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell because we've got more epic journeys coming your way. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next one.